At the movie's outset, a somber scene unfolds. A woman lies lifeless, having succumbed to an overdose of medication. Surrounding her are poignant images depicting her life as a mother of 2 girls. In that moment, the younger daughter, Rose, arrives at the door, visibly taken aback by the sight before her. In the present day, Rose is dedicated to aiding individuals at a mental health facility. Engaged in a conversation with a troubled man named Carl, who persistently expresses a fear of imminent demise, Rose endeavors to provide solace. However, Carl's subdued demeanor prompts Rose to extend his stay at the facility for a few more days. Hey there, welcome to Popcorn and Summaries. Today, we're diving into the 2022 horror/mystery movie Noah's Smile. But before we jump into the details, subscribing to the channel if you're into the commentary. Let's get right into it. As Rose prepares to conclude her duties for the day, she's unexpectedly assigned to another patient, Laura. Initially hesitant, Rose meets Laura and learns of the profound sorrow plaguing the young girl, stemming from witnessing her teacher's alarming actions. While Rose believes it's natural to experience distress following such events, Laura vehemently asserts her sanity, insisting that her concerns are valid and not indicative of any form of madness. Following Laura's disturbing claims of being pursued by a malevolent entity with a chilling smile, which morphs into different guises to forewarn her of an impending demise, the situation takes a harrowing turn. Laura suddenly collapses, emitting a blood-curdling scream as if she's witnessed a horrifying sight. Alarmed, Rose rushes to seek assistance, but upon turning back, she's taken aback to find Laura standing composedly, sporting an eerie smile. Before help can arrive, Laura, now wearing an unsettling expression, wields a sharp shard of broken pottery, committing a grievous act that leaves Rose utterly horrified. Tragically, the incident concludes in a deeply sorrowful manner. Subsequently, 2 detectives, including Joel, Rose's former boyfriend, arrive at the hospital to investigate. Despite their numerous inquiries, Rose, consumed by fear, struggles to articulate much. She manages only to express that Laura had worn the haunting smile before the terrible occurrence, her own shock and horror palpable in her retelling of the events. As Rose finally returns home, seeking solace after the distressing events, she attempts to unwind with a shower and a drink. However, her moment of relaxation shatters when she catches a chilling sight, Laura standing ominously in the corner. Startled, her fiancé, Trevor, enters unexpectedly, noticing Rose's perturbed state and inquiring about her well-being. Unfortunately, Trevor, known for his disbelief in Rose's experiences, brushes off her concerns when she tries to deflect the topic, behaving insensitively. Later that evening, Rose joins her sister Holly and her husband for dinner. Despite their engaging conversation about work, Rose remains visibly preoccupied, unable to shake off the haunting image of Laura. Her thoughts continuously gravitate back to the unnerving encounter, making it challenging for her to engage fully in the conversation with her family. The following day, Rose attempts to resume work, but the unsettling events linger in her thoughts. Intrigued, she requests the report on Gabriel, the teacher involved in the distressing incident with Laura, from the receptionist. While engrossed in the report, Rose receives a call from Holly, inviting her to her son's birthday celebration. While conversing on the phone, Rose glances out the window and glimpses a figure resembling Laura in the distance. Though she senses something odd, she dismisses it as her mind playing tricks on her. While making her rounds to check on the patients, Rose passes by Carl's room and is jolted to find him wearing the same unnerving smile that Laura had displayed. He abruptly begins shouting, foretelling Rose's demise. Frightened, Rose hastily summons nurses to manage the situation. However, the situation takes a startling turn. Carl has been sound asleep the entire time. It dawns on Rose that the entire ordeal was a product of her imagination. When Mr. Desai, the hospital supervisor, becomes aware of the situation, concern mounts about Rose's mental well-being. Worried about her state, he recommends that she take a week off to recuperate. That night, Rose finds herself alone at home when the house alarm unexpectedly begins beeping, triggering a surge of panic within her. Armed with scissors, she cautiously approaches the front door, only to discover it securely locked. As she returns to the living room, a sense of unease intensifies upon noticing the back door ajar. In the midst of this unsettling situation, Rose receives a call from a security operator instructing her to look behind her. Strangely, another incoming call interrupts, revealing that the previous conversation was merely a figment of her imagination. Relieved, she swiftly answers the ringing phone, relieved to connect with an actual security personnel. Shortly thereafter, the police arrive to inspect her house, yet they find no evidence of a break-in. Trevor arrives, visibly puzzled, inquiring about her well-being. While Rose assures him she's fine, a distressing revelation emerges. Her beloved pet cat, Mustache, is missing. In the ensuing days, Rose grapples with persistent apparitions, causing concern among those around her, who question her mental stability. Alarmed by her deteriorating state, she seeks solace in conversations with her former therapist, Dr. Madeline Northcott. Pouring out her fears about Laura, the unsettling smiles, and her vanished cat, Rose expresses a deep-seated terror that she's spiraling into paranoia. Despite her unease, Rose attends her nephew's birthday celebration over the weekend, hoping for a respite. Initially, things appear normal, and she believes the hallucinations have ceased. However, a distressing turn takes place when her nephew unwraps the gift she presented, only to discover her missing cat, Mustache, motionless inside. Shocked and desperate to clear her name, Rose vehemently protests her innocence. Amid this chaos, she catches sight of one of the party guests wearing a disconcertingly peculiar smile, which triggers intense fear within her. Overwhelmed, Rose accidentally breaks a glass table, causing injury to herself in the midst of the turmoil. After a brief stint at the hospital, Trevor escorts Rose back home. In a vulnerable moment before exiting the car, Rose attempts to confide in him about the distressing occurrences haunting her, only to be met with Trevor's dismissal, attributing her experiences to her mother's mental health history. His lack of support further frustrates Rose. Persistently digging into Gabriel's story, Rose immerses herself in the investigation. Amid her research, she's unsettled by the sound of her mother's voice in the darkness. Determined to shrug it off, she endeavors to retire for the night, but a figure resembling her mother materializes behind her, sending shivers down her spine. The following morning, driven by her quest for answers, Rose visits Gabriel's residence to delve deeper into his demise. Welcomed by Gabriel's wife, Victoria, Rose learns that Gabriel had witnessed something profoundly disturbing before his tragic actions. Victoria leads Rose to a room adorned with Gabriel's unsettling drawings, all depicting the same eerie smile, shedding light on the ominous nature of his experiences. In the wake of her encounter with Victoria, where her earnest intentions are misconstrued and met with anger, Rose finds herself expelled from Gabriel's house. Left with no recourse, she turns to her ex-boyfriend, Joel, seeking assistance in delving into cases akin to Gabriel's. Initially hesitant due to their history, Joel eventually relents, compelled by their past relationship. As Joel sifts through reports on his computer, they uncover Gabriel's sighting of a woman named Angela, involved in a disturbing incident. Further investigation into Angela's experiences reveals her witnessing someone inflicting harm upon themselves, captured in a chilling video where a man exhibits an eerie smile before committing a dreadful act in front of her. Armed with this newfound information, Rose resolves to confide in her fiancé, Trevor, upon returning home. However, to her dismay, she discovers that Trevor has brought Dr. Madeline to assess her mental state. Feeling betrayed and angered by Trevor's lack of belief and support, Rose confronts him, accusing him of abandoning her when she needed him the most. The rift in their relationship deepens as Trevor doubts her sanity, worsening Rose's distress. With emotions running high, Rose seeks solace at Holly's place, eager for understanding and support. She fervently shares images of other individuals affected by similar occurrences, attributing her predicament to a curse passed on by one of her patients. However, Holly's skepticism about curses triggers Rose's frustration, exacerbated when her sister draws comparisons to their late mother. Incensed by the comparison and feeling pushed around, Rose lashes out at Holly, expressing her pent-up anger and labeling her sister as selfish and egotistical. Needing space, Rose retreats to her car, attempting to regain composure. Unexpectedly, Holly emerges from the house and taps on the car window. In a disconcerting moment, Rose witnesses her sister's face inexplicably flipping upside down. This eerie encounter, however, turns out to be yet another hallucination. Later that night, seeking distraction at a restaurant, Joel abruptly calls Rose, interrupting her thoughts and signaling a potential turning point in her tumultuous journey. In a pivotal conversation, Joel reveals a shocking revelation: he's unearthed 20 cases linked by the disturbing smiles. 19 incidents involve self-inflicted harm, conforming to a pattern. However, the 20th case deviated. A man named Robert broke the cycle by causing harm to someone else. This deviation triggered a subsequent individual to commit a similarly dreadful act, perpetuating the pattern. Intrigued by the outlier, Rose decides to meet the survivor, hoping for insight. Subsequently, Rose visits the prison where Robert is incarcerated. Disguising her intentions by feigning concern for a patient facing similar challenges, she engages Robert in conversation. To her astonishment, Robert divulges that the sinister entity thrives on negative experiences and the only means of escape involves perpetuating the cycle by inflicting distress on others. Shocked and appalled by this revelation, Rose vehemently rejects the idea of harming anyone, inadvertently letting slip that she herself is afflicted by the malevolent entity. This inadvertent disclosure alarms Robert, leading to the intervention of the guards to manage the situation within the prison. That's a really intense and chilling turn of events. It seems Rose's ordeal with the malevolent entity has reached an alarming peak. However, the twist unveils that it was all a terrifying hallucination, a product of her distressed mind. The sequence involving Dr. Madeline, the phone call, and the eerie presence next to her ends abruptly when Rose snaps back to reality in her car. The imagined scene where Rose drives to the hospital with a knife, intending to confront Carl in a bid to transfer the curse to him by inflicting harm, is a vivid manifestation of her overwhelming fear and desperation. Her encounter with Carl, attempting to pass on the curse by repeatedly stabbing him, culminates in a disturbing realization: despite the violence, Carl remains unaffected, perpetually wearing that unsettling smile and seemingly impervious to pain. However, this gruesome scenario is abruptly interrupted as Rose awakens in her car, shaken by the vividness of the hallucination, realizing that none of the violent and distressing events actually transpired. It was all a haunting creation of her troubled mind. Rose's turmoil continues as Morgan, encountering her in the car, questions her presence, only to witness Rose hastily driving off without an explanation. Alarmed by the sight of a knife in Rose's car, Morgan contacts Joel to share her concerns. Seeking solace and solitude, Rose retreats to her childhood home, a place where she feels distanced from others, hoping to protect them from the perceived danger she poses. Fearing she might inadvertently harm someone, Rose isolates herself in this familiar yet secluded space. However, the respite is short-lived as Rose, determined to confront the malevolent entity plaguing her, hears an unsettling noise within the house. Upon investigation, she encounters the entity, now taking the form of her deceased mother. Unlike before, Rose displays a newfound courage and resilience, addressing the entity directly and commanding it to cease tormenting her. Her once overwhelming fear has transformed into a steely resolve as she faces the entity head-on. Unveiling a surprising past, Rose realizes her hidden resentment towards her living mother during her childhood. In the present, the malevolent entity transforms, attacking Rose, who fights back, ultimately setting it on fire and breaking free. Seeking refuge, she briefly stays with Joel, but his unsettling smile causes her to leave. However, she finds herself inexplicably back at her old home, trapped in an unnerving cycle of events. In a startling twist, the preceding events unravel as mere figments of her imagination. Suddenly, the genuine Joel's voice pierces the air, sending her into a frenzy. Rushing indoors, she barricades herself to shield Joel from the eerie curse. Then, a chilling revelation unfolds as the sinister entity sheds its disguise, revealing its true, horrifying form. Witnessing this grotesque transformation, Rose succumbs to overwhelming stress, rendered motionless. In a terrifying moment, the malevolent entity infiltrates her body through her mouth. As the climax unfolds, Joel forcefully breaks through the front door, only to find Rose setting herself ablaze with an eerie smile. This chilling act signifies her passing on the curse to him, concluding the story in an unsettling manner. If you enjoyed this gripping recap, show your support by hitting the like button and don't forget to subscribe to be the first to catch our upcoming videos.